Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Talk of the Town with me, Lynn About Town, here in my town of sunny Clearwater, Florida. And I'm here today with two great guests. Actually, I can't even believe they're here talking to me because I feel very honored. I have Randy Grimes, amazing NFL player, and so much more. I'm going to actually let him talk about that. So I'll tease you and tell you that he is an incredible man doing very good things for everyone and keeping kids and others off of the terrible pitfalls of drugs, drug abuse, and drug use. And he's doing big things in the celebrity world, in the
Thank you.
athlete world, and I'm proud to have him here as a guest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then also we have Sam McDowell. Hey, Sam.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Sam is an MLB All-Star player. The reason that I have these two gentlemen here today is we're actually going to be talking about drug prevention, drug rehabilitation, and hopefully just putting out a message to anyone who's watching to do what you can to keep the drug prevention going, I would say. What do you think?
Right. That's the message, is that we want to educate people and just continue to reduce the stigma. It's get out the message that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not raise your hand and ask for help.
There you go. And that is, well, true with any issue, right? I mean, if you communicate, you can find other people that would be willing to help you in whatever the issue is. So with drug use, there's a reason you're doing them, right?
Right.
So,
There's underlying issues, definitely. And that's what needs to be addressed.
yeah.
You know?
Now, in the world of athletes, what would be some of those underlying issues? Let's talk about your story. How did we get to the point where you're now a champion for athletes in recovery, an incredible nonprofit? How did we get there?
Well, I was the guy who was willing to do whatever I had to do to stay out on the field. When I played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I had a great 10-year career in the NFL, but I was also, I listened to the older guys, and one of the things that I learned very early was to do whatever I had to do to stay out on the field. I didn't want anybody in my position. I didn't want to get that reputation as always being on the injury report, always missing practice, always being worked on by the trainers. So, I justified taking handfuls of pain pills every day just to stay out there. I wanted to play every down of every practice, of every game. I wanted to be the best center that ever played the game. I wanted to feed my family. And that's how I justified it. I looked at it like a necessary evil to play the sport and to feed my family. Instead of what it really was it developed into a full-blown addiction, and it progressed to the point to where the last 2 years of my 10-year career, I was playing games in complete blackouts. I was taking so many opiates, so many benzos before games, before practices that, I don't even remember playing them.
That's
but that's what
unbelievable.
that necessary evil that I called it progressed to.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So I was going to ask you what drugs were we talking about in that time period, and you mentioned opiates and benzos, but I want to know can you talk about how easy it was to get them?
Oh my gosh, it was so easy. And the funny thing about it is the 10 years that I was there, nobody ever came up to me and said, Randy, why are you slurring your words? Why are you nodding off in meeting? Why are you asking your teammates for their pills? Why are you the last to leave the building every day and pills are missing out of the drug safe? We had a drug safe that was in the middle of our training room, and it was always open, and it was full of narcotics.
That doesn't sound like the word safe.
No, yeah, right.
I mean, doesn't safe imply it's locked?
But we had 3 white guys that started on defense for us that whole 10 years that I was there, and their jersey numbers were the combination to the safe if by chance it was ever accidentally locked. But
That's
for the
crazy.
most part, it was always open, and you just go get whatever you needed out of there. And that was the culture of the NFL back in, especially that decade. It was off-label prescribing. The team doctors would just, or team trainers, would just pour pills into one of those little white dental envelopes and hand it to you as you walked out the door. When we left our locker room after games, there was a manager standing at the door, and as we walked out to go get in our cars to meet our families, if it was a home game and drive home, you were given 2 beers and 2 halcyons, which was
That's so strong.
Yeah. They're not even on the market
No.
anymore. They're such a strong benzodiazepine, but that was the culture back then. On away games, we would fly home, and the first thing they would give us on the plane was 2 beers and any. Did you need opiates, or did you need benzos, or did you need both? And not only would you get yours, but you would get the guys who weren't going to take theirs, but they would still get them,
Sure, because here he is with this little box of them, and he's like, well, I'm going to give them out.
Right, and you would make sure that you told them to be sure and ask for your pills and then give them to me. That was my experience, because I needed more and more and more,
Unbelievable.
But that was the culture back then, and like I said, I looked at it like a necessary evil. And the crazy thing about it is I was still playing great. I played games great. I practiced great. I never missed any downtime, and I probably should have, because some of those injuries that I had that I practiced through and everything else were pretty significant.
You paying the price for some of those?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you're smiling and you're here.
That's right.
And you're doing a very
That's
important
right.
thing. So, thank you. I think that fans see the players. They see this level of performance. It's the thing that they just, can't
Right.
believe. But in a lot of ways, it really is unbelievable, because you have all these chemicals keeping this pain, able to be played through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's actually a lie, isn't it, really?
It is a lie, and I say that that's how it started, but it progressed to the point to where I had to take them to keep from getting sick. And let's be honest, I like the way the opiates made me feel.
Sure.
The benzos helped me get to sleep at night. And when you're laying in bed and every joint's throbbing or whatever, and it's hard to get to sleep, and that would kind of take care of that. It was a solution. It was a quick fix for a very serious need that I had at the time, and that was to stay out on the field and sleep.
I think it's disappointing, and we don't like to talk about, the phrase "follow the money,"
Right.
but those guys knew that it would do that. I mean, obviously, it wasn't for your real care as a human being. They were doing it for the enterprise, and I think that's harsh reality that people don't really want to see with that.
Right.
But I think it's important for parents to know, because if their child is aspiring to either be in professional sports or in any profession where there's celebrity, there is going to be that desire for the money and the getting that done, right?
Right.
And not necessarily looking out for the good of Johnny.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's that pride and ego that makes you want, that warrior mentality that makes you want to push on and be the best you can. And that's what makes athletes at that level, because they are willing to do that extra stuff.
Extreme.
Right or wrong,
Yeah.
But you said something earlier about the underlying issues that go with addiction, and I can remember when Sam Weish put his hand on my shoulder and said, "We won't be needing your services anymore." I remember thinking, "Wow, this is how it ends." This is
With no warning.
With no warning, no. And every year I've been playing football since 4th grade, and now after my 10th year in the NFL, and I'm not Randy Grimes, the football player anymore. When I didn't have that uniform to put on,
Wow.
anymore, when I didn't have that playbook given to me every Monday, when I didn't have that itinerary to look at on the bulletin board every day, then I struggled for a long time with who am I? And it was the fact that I didn't have a community. People ask me all the time what I miss most about football, and my second answer after I say that paycheck is the locker room. I miss the locker room.
The camaraderie.
The camaraderie, sitting around with a bunch of guys, like-minded people.
Sure.
But that's what recovery's giving me back too. Recovery now, meetings, hanging out with people in recovery, being with other athletes in recovery, or just being with anybody in recovery is my new locker room,
That's incredible. Well, I think that's a great message, because it gives people the idea that that group, that like-minded,
Right.
buddies can happen really anywhere if you decide you're forming that, right?
And you know, the reason you like to be around your buddies in the locker room is because those are guys you've bled with, guys you sweated, guys you've laughed and cried with, who have been through all the hell that you've been through. Well, same thing with recovery. You know, you're with people who have been to those deep, dark places that only people in recovery have been. So
I think that's why you hear about a lot of the stories, people meeting up there and actually forming a relationship, whether it be a
instant connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of our experience.
That's right.